Something pulled you here today. Not curiosity, not boredom, something quieter than that, a kind of gravitational tug you've been trying to rationalize for days. You've probably told yourself it's nothing, that you're reading into things, that you think too much, feel too much, expect too much. Virgo, that inner critic of yours has been working overtime lately, and I want you to know right at the start of this that what you've been sensing is real. The thing you keep almost believing and then talking yourself out of, that, let's sit with that for a moment before anything else. There's a specific kind of stillness that surrounds your energy right now. Not the stillness of peace, not yet, but the stillness of someone who has just stopped running. Like you finally sat down in the middle of a long corridor and decided you weren't going to sprint toward the next thing or away from the last thing until you understood what was actually happening inside you. And what's happening inside you is layered. There's a person. I think you already know exactly who I mean. You may have blinked when I said that, or taken a breath, or shifted slightly, because the moment I started speaking, a face arrived. Maybe a name, maybe just a feeling, a particular quality of warmth that belongs to one specific human being. This person has been in your peripheral vision for a while. Not new, not a stranger in the obvious sense, but the dynamic between you, whatever it has been until now, is about to change shape completely. What keeps surfacing in your energy is this image: two people standing on opposite sides of a glass door, both with their hands almost raised, neither quite reaching, not because the feeling isn't there, but because some unspoken agreement, some invisible rule of the situation made both of you hold back. That door is about to open. Not because someone finally summoned the courage to kick it down. It's more quiet than that, more accidental. More like a conversation that begins about something completely ordinary, and halfway through, both of you realize it has become something else entirely. I want you to understand how unexpected this arrival is going to feel. Not dramatic, not cinematic in the way you might have imagined. There won't be a grand declaration in the rain. What's coming is the most disarming thing that could happen between two people. An honest moment, almost by accident. Words that slip out before they can be curated. An expression that's held a second too long. And then something shifts, and the air between you has a different texture, and neither of you can go back to pretending it doesn't. Let me tell you something about this person's energy because I'm picking up on it quite clearly. They think about you more than they let on. There's a particular kind of restraint around their feelings, not coldness, nothing like that, more like someone who learned at some point that wanting something openly was a risk they weren't sure how to take. So they've been careful, measured, keeping their warmth at a temperature they thought was safe, giving you enough to feel something without giving you enough to be certain. That ambiguity has probably frustrated you. Knowing you, Virgo, you've analyzed it from every angle. You've built the case for why it means something and the case for why it means nothing, and you've stood at the center of both arguments feeling equally convinced and equally confused. But here's what's true: it means something. The restraint itself is the evidence. People don't carefully manage their warmth around someone they don't care about. Indifference doesn't require that much precision. The conversation that's coming, and I do feel it approaching, not as a distant possibility, but as something already in motion, already gravitating toward you, this conversation is going to say more in pauses than in words. You'll be talking, and then one of you will go quiet, and the quiet will say everything. There's also a message, an actual message, text or a voice note or something written. I keep seeing something written that arrives when you aren't quite expecting it. The timing will feel slightly off or very right, depending on how you look at it. You might read it twice before responding. You might put your phone down and pick it up again, because the message itself will be understated, but the fact that they sent it will be enormous. Does any of this feel familiar to what you've been half hoping for, half afraid to hope for? I'd love to know what's stirring in you right now. Now, here's the thing about your own energy in this that I want to name carefully because I think it's important. You have been protecting yourself, and not in the obvious defensive way. You're not cold, you're not shut down, you've stayed open. But there's a kind of subtle armor you've built, made of practicality, made of telling yourself to be realistic, made of waiting for certainty before allowing yourself to fully feel. You want proof before you commit emotionally, because the idea of being wrong, of having felt everything and then discovered you were alone in it, is something that lives in a particularly tender place inside you. This is not a flaw. This is intelligence wearing the clothes of caution. But I want to offer you a different frame. The proof you've been waiting for, you have more of it than you've allowed yourself to count. The moments you've dismissed as coincidence, the way they always seem to find a reason to be where you are. The quality of their attention when you speak, not the casual attention of someone being polite, but the particular kind that means they're gathering what you say, saving it somewhere. You've noticed all of this. You've just been filing it under probably nothing. It's something. Virgo, your ruling planet is Mercury, the planet of communication, of words, of the thread between mind and meaning. And what I find so perfectly fitting about this moment in your story is that the breakthrough isn't going to come through action. It's going to come through language, through the specific words someone chooses and the specific moment they choose to say them. There is something about the way this person talks to you that's different from how they talk to everyone else. A register shift, a slight softening, like a musician who plays differently in a small room than a large hall, not louder or quieter, just more intimate, more willing to let the sound be heard without amplification. You probably haven't let yourself fully receive that. You've caught it and then set it aside, but let yourself receive it now, even just internally, because it matters. The way someone changes when they're near you is one of the most unambiguous messages the universe ever delivers. There's something else I want to name, something that carries a little grief in it, or maybe just the residue of an old ache. You've been here before, haven't you? In this particular kind of almost close enough to feel the warmth, but not quite close enough to be sure, and maybe it didn't resolve the way you wanted. Maybe something came and interrupted, or the timing was wrong, or one of you retreated at the last moment. And some part of you is carrying that old almostness into this, letting it cast a faint shadow of doubt over what's happening now. I want to acknowledge that because it's real and it matters and it doesn't make you damaged. It makes you human. You've learned the specific gravity of hope that doesn't land, and your nervous system is being careful. But this is different. The energy here has a quality of completion to it that the other times didn't. Like something that was always building toward this point And the previous chapters weren't failures, they were preparation. They taught you what you were actually looking for. They calibrated you so precisely for this that when it arrives, you'll recognize it not with your mind, but with something older and quieter. That recognition is already happening. It's why you're here. Let me share what I see unfolding, not as a guaranteed script, but as the energetic current that's already moving beneath the surface of your situation. A moment of unexpected contact, the kind that feels slightly suspended outside of normal time. A conversation where neither of you is performing because something about the moment made performance impossible too late at night, or too emotional a subject, or too much shared laughter that dissolved every careful boundary. In that unguarded space, something true gets said. Maybe by them first. Maybe it's more of a question, the kind that pretends to be casual but isn't. And you'll answer honestly, because you always do when you feel safe, and they will feel like safety that night. And the answer you give will be the thing that opens it. From there, not immediately, because real things rarely happen immediately, but from there, a new kind of closeness begins, the kind that changes how you move through your days. You'll find yourself thinking differently, not obsessively, but warmly, the way a room feels different when a good lamp is on. What I want to say to you as this begins, because it is beginning, even if the evidence feels slim from where you're standing, is that you deserve to be someone's intention, not their uncertainty. You've been patient with uncertainty for long enough. And I don't mean that as a judgment of anyone, including this person. Uncertainty is human, and fear is human, and sometimes love moves slowly. But Virgo, you're allowed to want what you want. You're allowed to stop shrinking your hope to fit inside the size of what seems reasonable. Something unreasonable is headed toward you, unexpectedly tender, unexpectedly clear. There's a quality to this reading that keeps returning to me, something almost like the feeling of a window being opened in a room that's been closed too long. Not a dramatic shattering, just a latch turning, cool air arriving, and the realization that you'd forgotten slightly what fresh air felt like. That's what this person is going to feel like when it stops being theoretical and starts being real. And here's what I find so beautiful about your chart in this season you're ready. Not in the way that means desperate or impatient or clinging, ready in the way that means rooted, like a tree that's grown deep enough that wind is just weather now, not a threat. You've done enough inner work, carried enough on your own, examined yourself with enough honesty that you're no longer bringing a wound into this, you're bringing yourself. That is not a small thing. If this person has been in your thoughts lately, if they've appeared in your dreams in ways you've woken up and tried to forget, if you catch yourself wondering whether they wonder about you, the answer to all of that is yes. And the message that's coming will confirm it. Not dramatically, in the quietest way, the way the first light of morning isn't loud, but it changes everything. Watch for it. You won't have to look hard. Before I close this reading, I want to leave you with one thing. Whatever unfolds, however this conversation happens, however this message arrives, please don't run the analysis before you run the experience. I know it's instinct. I know your mind will want to pick it apart, cross reference it against every possible alternative interpretation, build a hedge around the feeling before you let it fully in. Just this once, let the feeling arrive first. Let yourself be surprised. Let yourself be moved. Let yourself be in it before you understand it. The understanding will come. It always does for you. But the moment of arrival, that first honest breath of something real that can't be recovered once it's been analyzed away, be in it, receive it. You've earned that. Virgo, whatever you've been feeling beneath the surface of your everyday life, the quiet hope, the careful wondering, the almost but not quite of it, that chapter is closing. A new one is opening. And it begins with a conversation you didn't know was coming from a person who has been thinking about how to begin it for longer than you know. Be open, be soft, be you. That's always been enough. It's about to be everything. Take good care of yourself this week. And if this reading touched something true in you, I'd love to hear what resonated. Drop it in the comments below. You never know who else needs to read what you share.